Welcome to Relate Higher, a podcast dedicated to providing the leading standard in conscious higher relating and to teaching you a conscious framework for all of your relationships. This is your go-to resource for developing meaningful, conscious relationships across your life. I'm your host, award-winning relationship coach and consultant and former family lawyer, Letitia Ringe. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone, and welcome to our second series on the podcast, which is all about creating and cultivating a conscious relationship with yourself. This is so important. In all of our relationships, whether it's our love life, whether it's a friendship, a relationship with a family member, or a relationship with a professional colleague. To improve those relationships and to nurture those relationships, you will need to look at your relationship with yourself. This is where most of the work is, and almost all of your power is in relationships. This is great news because it means you can change so much about your satisfaction and fulfillment in your relationships and their ability to meet and nurture your relational needs and desires through simply focusing on your relationship with yourself. So in this episode, I'm going to cover the 5 different areas we'll be covering within this series, which is all about how to build a great relationship with yourself. But first, I want to mention a disclaimer. This is not about being perfect. You do not need to first have a perfect relationship with yourself before you can improve or experience better relationships across your life. That is not what we're talking about here. The work in improving our relationship with ourselves is a lifelong journey. We are not trying to get to a destination. We're not trying to be perfect. In fact, perfection just doesn't exist. So you may as well throw that out as an option because your mind and your brain, like all of ours, will be trying to get you to some place where you don't have any problems ever, where you are perfect, where there's no flaws, where there's no weaknesses, where there's no work to continue doing. But that is not life. Life is about learning, and the more you learn, i.e. the more aware you become of somewhere that you can improve, you then have the power to improve that thing. This is what life is about. You will be learning for the rest of your life. So there's no rush to get to some destination where there's no learning to be done anymore. That will set you up for a life of misery because you'll constantly be taking action, trying to get to a place where you don't need to learn anymore, only to discover that you will always continue to learn. Learning is beautiful. Improving is beautiful. It gives us something to focus on. It gives us a way to experience newness and change, growth, evolution, and that excites us. We love expanding as humans. So there's this interesting dichotomy where we need to really accept where we are, accept ourselves as we are, while also being open to learning new things, to having new experiences, to improving. And that's what we want to be constantly juggling as we move through doing this work, whether it's self-improvement and self-growth generally, or whether it's work on your relationships. We're always doing the work and improving while also honoring where we are and accepting ourselves through the journey. We're allowed to make mistakes. We're allowed to notice that there's an area we can improve because that gives us the power to actually improve, to create something new and better for ourselves. As soon as you start striving for perfection, you will stop looking at where you can improve. In fact, you will close yourself off to more awareness because you are making more awareness mean there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. I do not care what is happening in your life right now. I do not care whether you're in a romantic relationship or not, whether you've got lots of friends or a small amount of friends or no friends, whether you've got a great relationship with family members or whether you don't, whether you have a great relationship with your professional colleagues or you don't. I don't care what's happening in your life. You are worthy. You're whole. You're a human. You are perfectly imperfect exactly as you are. And you will, for the rest of your life, be learning and becoming more aware of how you can continue to nurture and improve what you're doing and how you're relating with yourself, how you're relating with others, how you're living. And that is a beautiful thing. You want that awareness because that is what makes life fun. We're here truly to learn. So with that disclaimer, let's now talk about the 5 areas we want to be aware of so that we can build and create a better relationship with ourselves, which allows us to experience better relationships and a better love life across our life generally. So the first thing I want you to know is that your relationship with yourself sets the tone for your relationship with others. In fact, your relationship with yourself will either be a bottleneck in your relationship with others, or it will be a source of expansion. Let's talk about this in a little bit further detail. So if you want to experience more love in a relationship, let's talk about your love life, your romantic relationships. It doesn't matter where you're at in the relationship cycle within your love life right now, whether you're deciding whether to leave a relationship, in a relationship, starting a new relationship, dating, completing a relationship, or healing from a relationship completion. You might have a desire for more love in your love life. For you to be able to experience more love in your love life, our mind tells us that all of that power is within the other person, the partner or the future partner or the current partner or the past partner. When your mind does that, it puts all of the power in someone else, which makes us feel completely powerless. How can we create more love if all that love is tied up with another person? This sets us up to trying to convince another person to love us more or to do something differently. Or we think, okay, I've just got to find a partner and then I'm going to experience more love. When actually your ability to receive love, to experience love, and to create love is directly linked to your relationship with love itself, which means your relationship with yourself. It doesn't matter who the other person is, the way that you relate with the quality of love is linked to your relationship with yourself. It's not about the other person. All of our power that we want to work with is the power we have. And that's the power within you, which means your relationship with yourself. So if you want to experience more love in your life, you would look at your relationship with love itself, not love in your relationship with a partner or with a friend, a family member, or in your work and professional context. You're going to look at, how do I relate with love itself? How do I allow more love into my life? How do I receive love? How do I create love? What does love even mean? How do I know that I'm actually experiencing more love? If you don't know that, which is all about your relationship with yourself, then how could you ever receive more love from someone else? You wouldn't even be able to recognize that what you're receiving is love. So we look at our relationship with ourselves. Am I being loving with myself? What would it mean to love myself more? How do I know when I'm being loving with myself? How do I know when I'm giving love to another person? How do I know when I've received or experienced love from others in the past? All of this is about your own awareness of love and the experience of love within yourself. When your capacity for more love and a better understanding of love is expanded, is increased, this allows you to receive more love from others, to give more love from others, which allows you to receive more love from others. It allows you to go out and actually create love, which is what we all are learning to do through being in conscious relationship. We recognize love is not something we find or that just flows to us. Love is something we cultivate and create. It is a state, it's a mindset. We create it through actions. It is about the way we approach ourselves and our life. It is about being accepting. It's about being a yes to life. In Tantra, they talk about being a yes to life, which is about accepting what is, accepting yourself, accepting others. When we do that, we're saying a big yes to them. And this is what love is all about. So if we can be a big yes to ourselves, and we can be a big yes to where we are in our relationships, what we're experiencing, what our struggles are, what our ease is, this sets you up for more awareness, which allows you to experience better relationships with yourself and others. So that's the first point. Your relationship with yourself sets the tone for your relationship and experiences with others. You can either expand your capacity for better relationships or become a bottleneck, i.e. a limit to better relationships because of your relationship with yourself. Now remember, all your power is within your hands. It's not within someone else's hands. So you want to look at your relationship with yourself so that you can go out and create changes in your relationship with others. That's why you want to look at your relationship with yourself. It's not to tell yourself that you're doing something wrong or that there's something wrong with you. It is literally, hey, I want to experience even better relationships in my life. I know that the power I have is with my relationship with myself. So I'm going to turn and look at my relationship with myself, look at the qualities I want to experience more of. I'm going to get to know them more intimately within my relationship with myself. And that will allow me to go out and create more of that with others. So that's the first point. The second point is creating a great relationship with yourself is about understanding and accepting yourself as a human. So if we want to experience more love, more unconditional love, a more welcoming, enjoyable environment to be in our lives, we want to get better at accepting where we are and who we are. This is about not changing anything. And this is the first stage of the transformation cycle. It's about awareness, which is about simply seeing and accepting yourself and where you are and allowing yourself to be exactly where you are. The better we can get at accepting ourselves, the better we are at seeing ourselves, which is what allows us to have more awareness about what we might want to improve. I know that this seems counterintuitive because we think, well, if I accept myself, then I'm not going to want to improve myself. But the truth is, when you jump into trying to improve yourself from a place of not accepting and not understanding and not seeing yourself, you won't be able to make great decisions to improve. And it will be a terrible journey because you'll be hating yourself along the way, trying to get somewhere to make yourself better, but never learning how to love and accept yourself, how to understand yourself, how to be able to see yourself and see what you want to improve while recognizing that that doesn't make you a horrible person or that there's something wrong with you. If you can notice areas for improvement from a place of love and acceptance, you will allow yourself to see areas for improvement more. Do you understand this? If I think that if I see a spot for improvement and that means I've done something wrong, then I'm not going to want to see where the areas for improvement are because that will mean that there's something wrong with me. But if I know there is nothing wrong with me, I love myself, I accept myself, I'm worthy of change and improvement as well, this will set me up for looking at myself, noticing where I could improve, and then doing the work to improve those things because I'm worthy of improvement. And I am worthy exactly as I am. That's a much better experience, and that's going to actually motivate me to keep going instead of hating myself through the process. So if you're deciding whether to leave a romantic relationship right now, you're improving a romantic relationship, you're completing a romantic relationship, you're starting a romantic relationship, you're healing a broken heart, you're dating, doesn't matter where you are in a romantic context or outside of a romantic context in your relationships, Creating better relationships is about having a better relationship with yourself, and having a better relationship with yourself begins with understanding and accepting yourself and where you are exactly as and where you are. This is the first stage of transformation. Number 3, creating a better relationship with yourself also looks like aligning your life with your needs and desires. This is what self-improvement, life coaching, self-growth, personal development is all about. We want to look at your life as a whole, holistically. We want to look at your home, your finances, your work, your relationships, your spirituality, everything in your life. We want to make sure the way that you're showing up for your life is actually aligned with the life that you want and need to live, the life that supports you, a life that makes you feel fulfilled, a life that is truly beautiful. The Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast, which is the first iteration of this podcast, is all about that. My work as a life coach is all about that. So you're in great hands. And in this series of the podcast, we'll be talking more about how you can align your life to make sure that it is aligned with your needs and desires, i.e., what fulfills you as a human. And this becomes part of what nurtures and nourishes your relationships, because the more that your life is aligned, the better energy and self-respect you have, which allows you to bring that energy into your relationships. And it also allows you to attract people across your life who are also aligned with those interests, those needs, those desires, because you're actually embracing them within yourself first. But if you're going through your life and you're miserable, if you're not allowing yourself to change and experience new adventures because you're being called to those new adventures, which is why you're feeling dissatisfied and unfulfilled, but you're telling yourself, no, I need to stay with what I'm doing and do everything the same, because of whatever reason your mind is telling you, you're going to show up with that energy in relationships. You're going to attract other people who are also sharing those either experiences or mindset. And that's not a true match for what actually fulfills you. You want to embrace the part of you that wants to change or wants to experience something different. You want to go on a journey where you allow yourself to experience something new. Yes, it's scary. Yes, you're learning new things. No, you don't know everything and it's not as comfortable as where you were. But now you're on the path of fulfillment. And so you bring that self-respect into your relationships and you attract other people who are doing the same. It might be they share the same interests as you, or it could be that they are also respecting themselves. They're also going out and trying new things. They're also living a life that fulfills them. That is way more interesting to you because you are on the same wavelength and you're both going to be bringing that energy to your relationships. Now remember, we don't just finally figure it all out, get our life all aligned, and then never need to realign. You will have everything in your life at one point feeling really good and fulfilling, and then you'll start to notice that there's an area or an aspect of your life that needs attention. It's not feeling fulfilling anymore. If you're judging yourself and telling yourself that that's wrong, that you're not perfect anymore and everything's not all aligned, then you won't allow yourself to spot that gap, which will then limit your ability to then improve that gap and realign it. So the goal is to have our life aligned, but there will always be moments in our life where we need to realign. And your capacity to see that, to spot that, is going to impact your relationship with others, because you want to show up in your relationships respecting yourself and seeing yourself, as that allows you to be seen by others and also bring a better energy into your relationship instead of expecting others to make up for that lack of fulfillment in your life. And it also allows you to attract other people who are really committed to doing that work within themselves too, and taking responsibility for their life and that work within themselves as well. Number 4, creating a great relationship with yourself, i.e. a conscious relationship with yourself, is also about understanding what you bring to your relationships. This means understanding the relationship history that you bring, your protective patterns that you bring, the way you respond to conflict, your triggers, the way that you feel in this moment, what's happening in your life, like everything that you're bringing to a relationship, you want to be more aware of that so that you can make better decisions in your relationships. But again, if you do not want to see what you bring to a relationship because you're so focused on what the other person is bringing, or because you tell yourself that if you notice that you should be doing something differently, then that means something's wrong with you or there's something wrong, then you will shut yourself off from seeing. And that limits your ability to actually make great decisions for your relationship and to have another person really see you and understand you. So you want to get more aware on what you bring to a relationship so that you can make better decisions and so that you can be truly seen as you are. And so the other people who you're relating with can make better decisions as well for your relationships. So the more that we can accept who we are and what we bring in terms of a relationship context, the better relationship we have with ourselves, which means the better relationship we will have with others. And finally, number 5, creating a great relationship with yourself is also about doing the work in your relationships to come from a place of consciousness, i.e. shifting from fear back into love, i.e. moving with your intentions for your relationships, i.e. expanding your awareness. The more that you allow yourself to do the work, the more you see yourself. The better decisions you're able to make for yourself and for your relationships, which directly impacts your relationships with others. Okay, so they are the 5 areas that we will be covering in this second series on the podcast, which is all about creating and cultivating a conscious relationship with yourself so that you can have a better relationship with yourself, which is what directly impacts the quality of your relationships with others. To end this episode, I'm going to give you 5 questions. These are all questions where you will be rating yourself as you are right now so that you can get a better gauge on what you really need to work on as you move through this second series on the podcast. So I'm just going to have a look at my questions and read them out. And I want you to just listen to the question and then receive the first number out of 10 that comes to you. Now, out of 10, how would I rate my relationship with myself? This is the first question. 10 being it's amazing, it's thriving, it feels so good, and 1 or even 0 being it needs a lot of work right now, it's not feeling so good. So, question number 1, out of 10, how would I rate my relationship with myself? Number 2, out of 10, how understanding and accepting am I of myself? Number 3, out of 10, how aligned is my life with what I need and desire? Number 4, out of 10, how aware am I of what I bring to my relationships? And number 5, out of 10, how often do I do the work on a daily basis in my relationships to come from a place of consciousness? So rate each of those questions, and then I want you to ask yourself, why did I rate it that number? And then go back for each question and answer the question of why. This will give you so much information about what your work is as you move forward, and it will also give you the motivation to continue as you move through this podcast, showing up, listening to the episodes, and then doing the homework that I give you in each episode episode, which is designed to help you transform and improve the quality of your relationships, which also includes your relationship with yourself. Now, if at any point throughout this series of the podcast you want personal support in improving your relationship with yourself and improving your relationships, no matter which area of your life and no matter which phase of the relationship cycle you're in right now, I invite you to apply for my Conscious Relationship Coaching Program. You can find all of the details at relatehigher.com/CRCP. In this program, I will take you through a very intentional process that is designed to improve your relationship with yourself and also improve the relationship that you would most love to improve in your life. So whether you're deciding whether you want to leave a relationship, whether you're nurturing and improving an existing relationship, starting a new relationship, ending a relationship, healing from a relationship ending, dating or attracting new relationships into your life, the Conscious Relationship Coaching Program is for you, and you're taken through a very specific process that will have you improving your relationship with yourself, as well as approaching where you are in the relationship cycle consciously and creating a better relationship in your life, which will also allow you to create better relationships in the other areas of your life too. All right, my beautiful friends, I'll see you in our next episode. Thank you for listening to Relate Higher, your go-to resource for learning how to consciously approach all of your relationships. To deepen your learning and practice, make sure you're subscribed to receive the Relate Higher community newsletter. This is a weekly newsletter sent to you every Monday, providing further coaching and education to support your relationships. Subscribe at relatehigher.com/community. And if you haven't yet left a 5-star review for the podcast, we ask that you please do that now so that this podcast can reach other listeners who also want to learn and practice conscious higher relating. Because remember, the more people who learn, the better relationships we all enjoy.